Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Monday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I am Glenora Shipura. In the news tonight, accommodation establishments in Namibia recorded an overall occupancy rate of 60.98% for July, just outperforming the 2019 statistics when an occupancy rate of 59.6% was recorded. The year 2019 is known as the last pre-pandemic year for tourism, while CEO of the Hospitality Association of Namibia said that the month of July, the first month of the traditional high season for Namibia's tourism sector. Now, the figures of this year's July is 10% higher compared to 2022, when an occupancy rate of 51.02 was recorded. In 2020, occupancy stood at just 11.4%. All along, the high season of this year, starting in July, had promised to be a very good one, with the expectation that by the end of this year, Namibia's tourism industry could be fully recovered to pre-pandemic levels, said Gita Peitzold. Meanwhile, 30.61% of guests originated from the German-speaking countries of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. The Benelux countries constituted over 8.6% of all visitors, while both France and Italy also proved a valuable source market with 7.11% and 4.31% respectively. Visitors from the USA and Canada made up 4.68% of all visitors at establishments in July compared to last year. Now, in our next story, it has been proposed that an additional $2 billion per year can be mobilized from African governments through a 20% budget increase to water security and sanitation. The proposal was made by an international high-level panel on water investments for Africa. Agriculture Minister Carl Schlyter said this at the World Water Week in Stockholm, Sweden, during a discussion by this high-level panel. During the UN Water Conference, the African Union Commission and the high-level panel launched its landmark report, Africa's Rising Investment Tide, which defines pathways for mobilizing an additional $30 million per year to close the water investment gap in Africa through the Continental Africa Water Intermittent Program. Now, Schlyter said that currently under the development, the high-level panel investment plan will define specific actions needed to mobilize $30 billion per year by 2030 in additional financing towards water supply security and sustainable sanitation in Africa. He said that while one recognizes the need for this ambitious plan, the world is facing a three-faceted crisis, namely climate change, a financial crisis, as well as political instability that is on the rise. The Minister of Trade, Lucia Ipumbu, has underscored its commitment to bolstering local investors' role and ensuring equal treatment between domestic and foreign investors through the forthcoming investment bill, following criticism from experts that it may scare off investors. In response to Namibian Sun, Trade Minister Lucia reiterated that the old Foreign Direct Investment (FDI) Act did not adequately support or empower local investors, and this prompted the creation of the new investment bill, which prioritizes the identification and support of domestic investors on par with their foreign counterparts. The minister clarified that this emphasis on equitable retreatment is rooted in national treatment principles rather than control, as was asserted by the Economic Policy Research Association, that cautioned that the bill in its current form would have a damning impact on Namibia's investment environment. In some African news, Somalia has banned TikTok, messaging, Apple, Telegram, and online betting website 1xBet to limit the spread of indecent content and propaganda, its communication minister said. Now, Reuters report that Minister Jama Khalif said in a statement on Sunday evening that the Minister of Communications orders internet companies to stop the aforementioned applications which terrorist and immoral groups use to spread constant horrific images and misinformation to the public. Members of insurgent groups Al-Shabaab often post about their activities on TikTok and Telegram. The decision comes days after Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said a military offensive against Al-Shabaab aims to eliminate the Al-Qaeda-linked group in the next 5 months. TikTok, Telegram, and 1xBet did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment. The order gave internet service providers until August 24th to comply. Now, in our Story of the Day segment, we speak to the youngest pupil in Africa to finish matric at just 14. We get into this story on the other side of the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 115.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into our story of the day, Tariro Muyo, a hardworking and determined young girl, completed her matric last year at the age of 14 after passing her International General Certificate of Secondary Education exams with outstanding result. Muyo, who hails from Tumeb, obtained an A+ symbol in chemistry, a C in English first language, and a A symbol in biology, mathematics, and physics, making her one of the youngest IGCSE graduates in Africa. She completed her primary school at Queensdale in Harare, Zimbabwe. Let's take a look.
It was kind of a weird experience, but I enjoyed it because you get to wake up at your own time and you have long hours. It was hard because I have a lot of hours. I had long hours. It's not like normal school where you go to school early morning and you come back at maybe 3 or something and then you're done. But then for me it was I wake up at 9 and then maybe I start at 10 and then I have long hours from maybe 10 to 9 or 11 and it was really hard, and it was also kind of fun as well. Okay, so I used a lot of question papers. I go through a lot of question papers. I write my question papers, and if there's a topic that I don't understand, I ask my dad, and he explains it to me. And then I go to YouTube, and then I watch the specific topic that I'm getting stuck at, and then I watch the video, and then I go back to the paper. I try again, and I write the paper again, and I keep on writing the paper again until it goes into my system. If there's a topic that I fail, and then I keep on doing that topic until it goes to my system. And yeah, that's how my study method is. My favorite subject definitely is math, because there's always an answer, there's a solution, and the way to learn maths is to do maths. So it's not like chemistry, physics, where you learn, you memorize and everything, and you're just looking at it and you're reading. But then with maths, you actually have to do the maths to actually get and understand the maths. My advice is you have to work hard. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, you're going to cry a lot, you're going to sweat a lot, but it's hard work. You need to work hard. No matter what situation you're in, maybe it's whatever race you are in, it doesn't matter. You need to work hard. It's that simple. Do your question papers, read your books. You don't have to get distracted a lot. Don't go on social media and all that. You just need to work hard. Put your distractions aside and work hard and focus.
After the break, we get into your economic news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into our economic news, Reuters takes a look at what has been making the business headlines in sub-Saharan Africa. Let's take a look.
Here's what's been making the business headlines in sub-Saharan Africa this week. China has resumed imports of South African beef, its customs administration said on Thursday. They were banned in March 2022 due to an outbreak of foot and mouth disease on a cattle farm. The resumption comes just ahead of a visit by President Xi Jinping to South Africa for the BRICS summit. Also on BRICS, the bloc's development bank closed the auction for its first South African Rand bonds, a 1 billion Rand 5-year note and a 500 million Rand 3-year note, on Tuesday. The new development bank has been under pressure to boost its local currency fundraising and lending. A Nigerian court on Thursday adjourned a hearing for suspended central bank governor Godwin Emefiele until August 23rd, as a co-defendant was unable to attend, a government lawyer said. That meant Emefiele, who is facing a 20-count fraud charge, was unable to enter a plea. Also in legal news, the Madagascan president's chief of staff has been arrested in London on suspicion of seeking a bribe from Precious Stones miner Gemfields, the UK's National Crime Agency said. Romy Andrinariso and a French associate, Philippe Tabuteau, were allegedly seeking $286,000 and a 5% equity stake to secure licenses to operate in Madagascar. A lawyer for Andrinariso did not respond to a request for comment. One representing Tabuteau declined to comment. Madagascan President Andry Rajoelina's office said the aid had been sacked with immediate effect. The NCA expressed its gratitude to Gemfields for raising the matter. And finally, Safaricom's M-Pesa mobile money service went live in Ethiopia on Wednesday. The Kenyan telecoms operator is betting that Ethiopia, which has around 120 million people and one of Africa's youngest populations, will power growth for years to come.
Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 24.14, against the euro at 20.67, against the US dollar at 18.99, 2 Namibian dollars and 60 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold and copper went up while platinum and Brent crude oil went down. Brent crude oil trading at 0.23%, going for $84 and 73 cents per barrel. In international news, we look at the Zimbabwe elections taking place on Wednesday this week. Do stay tuned.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. We bring jou lees die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Getting into our international news, Zimbabweans vote in an election this week that many hope could end a lengthy economic crisis in what was once considered one of Africa's most prosperous countries. Irene Mutera, a vendor on the streets of the capital Harare, is one of those who say what they want is change, but hope is tempered by expectations that Wednesday's August 23rd contest is skewed in favor of the ZANU-PF. Let's take a look.
Zimbabweans vote in an election this week that many hope could end a lengthy economic crisis in what was once considered one of Africa's most prosperous countries. Irene Mutero, a vendor on the streets of the capital Harare, is one of those who say what they want is change.
Things are tough for everyone. I'm registered to vote and I'm going to vote.
But hope is tempered by expectations that Wednesday's contest is skewed in favor of the ZANU-PF. The party has been in power for more than 4 decades. For most of that time, Robert Mugabe was at the helm. He led the violent seizure of white-owned farms in 2000. Zimbabwe has been in economic turmoil ever since. Mugabe was ousted in a military coup in 2017 and replaced by longtime ally Emmerson Mnangagwa. At his penultimate rally, Mnangagwa said they need more time to build our motherland.
We are determined to lift more and more of our people out of poverty into higher quality of life.
Mnangagwa won Zimbabwe's first post-Mugabe election in 2018, which was unsuccessfully challenged by the opposition. Political analyst Dr. Pedzisai Ruhania says this election will again be contentious.
Of course, it's headed for another decision. It is very clear. How do you go into an election without a voters' roll?
That's a reference to one dispute in this election. The opposition Citizens Coalition for Change has taken the Electoral Commission to court to demand access to electronic copies of the voters' roll, so it can be searched and analysed. The Electoral Commission has said all parties have been given printed copies. The courts have yet to rule in what is one of several legal challenges mounted by the opposition ahead of the vote. Though there are 11 candidates vying for the presidency, the election is really a battle between the CCC's Nelson Chamisa, a 45-year-old lawyer and pastor, and 80-year-old Mnangagwa, who goes by the nickname the Crocodile. At a rally in Bulawayo, Chamisa said he had told Regional Bloc, the Southern African Development Community, that Mnangagwa was not preparing to win, but plotting to rig.
He stole the election in 2018, but this time I will not accept to allow him to steal the election again.
The opposition says its supporters are routinely arrested under Zimbabwe's tough public order laws, and that there have been cases of violent intimidation by ZANU-PF supporters. Police have blocked some of the opposition's rallies. They deny targeting bias and say rallies for both major parties have been stopped for reasons of public safety. A ZANU-PF spokesperson has denied allegations of voter intimidation and unfair electoral processes, accusing the opposition of being obsessed with criticising the electoral process so that they have something to say after losing. Wilbert Mandinde of the Zimbabwe Human Rights NGO Forum says it is not proper for members of the opposition to struggle to campaign.
The human rights situation in Zimbabwe has been bad. Elections are meant to be something in which people look forward to, in which people then go and exercise their rights to vote.
Nevertheless, the opposition hopes it can defy the odds and win this time. They're counting on frustrations over the long-running economic crisis. Inflation is among the highest in the world, while only 30% of Zimbabweans hold formal jobs. Political analysts say young voters, who have never known a prosperous Zimbabwe, could play a significant role. 1/6 of the registered electorate are first-time voters.
After this short break, we get into your weather predictions for tomorrow.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes. Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Getting into our weather predictions for tomorrow, Katima Mulilo can expect sunny weather with 18 degrees minimum and 37 degrees maximum. Oshakati can expect a minimum of 16 degrees and a maximum of 34 degrees. Henties Bay is mostly sunny with a minimum of 11 degrees and a maximum of 16 degrees. Rehoboth can expect a minimum of 9 degrees with a maximum of 30 degrees. We'll get into your sports news after this short break. Let's get into your sports news with Brian Munango.
Well, good evening, viewers. On today's Sunset News, brought to you by SportsWrap, African Stars take lead to Zambia after a 2-1 victory over Power Dynamos in the CAF Champions League first leg preliminary rounds. So we are all excited to see that the African Stars came out on top in that one. Latest news, Namibia announced their 33-man squad for the Rugby World Cup. Well, let's take a look at the video.
Jason Bernardi, Adrian Boysen, Arnos Coetzee, Wian Conradi, Tian de Klerk, Prince Gausep, Richard Hardwick, Max Kachikeko, Adrian Ludik, Johan Retief, Esiderius Seti, Mapisa Jericho, Chewy Waneve, Louis van der Westhuizen, Torsten van Jaarsveld, PJ van Lille, Casper Verviers. The backs, Ula Blauw, Danko Burger, Johan Duisel, JC Greiling, Clevin Loubser, Leroux Malan, Gershwin Maton, Chad Plateau, Alcino Isaacs, Divan Rousseau, Damien Stevens, Tian Swanepoel, Jacques Tron, and Andre van den Berg.
Well, great news. As we can see that it's definitely a good team that we are sending out to take part in the World Cup. Well, that's all that we have for you from the sports desk. It is goodbye.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
You're still watching Sunset News, and if you've just joined us, here are the news highlights. Accommodation establishments in Namibia recorded an overall occupancy rate of 60.98% for July, just outperforming the 2019 statistics, where an occupancy rate of 59.6% was recorded. It has been proposed that an additional $2 billion per year can be mobilized from African governments through a 20% budget increase to water security and sanitation. The proposal was made by an international high-level panel on water investments for Africa. Somalia has banned TikTok, messaging app Telegram, and online betting website 1xBet to limit the spread of indecent content and propaganda, its communications minister said. Reuters reports that Minister Jama Khalif said in a statement on Sunday evening that the Minister of Communications orders internet companies to stop the aforementioned applications which terrorists and immoral groups use to spread constant horrific images and misinformation to the public. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the NMH platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, oneup2.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Glenora Shipura, and this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.